Welcome to Friday Night Fashion. I'm Amanda Wakeley.
I'm Jo Elvin, and this fashion chat is brought to you by wine. And I hope you've got a wine as well, because we're going to really get into it.
It's wine o'clock, and we're going to talk about New York Fashion Week.
Do you know what? I haven't actually been to New York Fashion Week in some time. I've loved going through all of these looks. I thought New York for me, I don't know what you think. As an editor, I always thought it was like the one where it's the one where you don't get a hell of a lot of risk taking. Usually, it's Park Avenue ladies who are there to spend, and the people like Michael Kors and all the big names want to make sure those ladies are spending. That said, I thought there was a real sort of like playful romanticism to a lot of the collections this year. And I wondered if that is something to do with the times we're in.
I agree. And when you look at Marc Jacobs' show, for example, who always pushes the boundaries, let's face it. And I thought it was just brilliant, borrowing that installation from Robert Thurian. I'm going to get that wrong.
Have you been? It's amazing. Even that alone, when you're standing beneath that big chair and table, you just suddenly remember what it's like to be a child again.
Yes, and it looked like the models looked like little dolls.
Do you know what that reminded me of? Paper dollies that you have when
with
you're
the cutouts.
Yeah.
Cutout
and even the way they were standing, it was like, yeah. So let's have a look. Which ones are your favourite looks from old MJ?
I thought it was complete. I loved also the hair and makeup. It was just like this bonkers sort of your great aunt in the 50s type hair and makeup.
It's giving me 60s Barbie. It's giving me Gwyneth in Royal Tenenbaums.
Yes.
It's giving me a bit of a 70s vibe.
And I loved this whole sort of Juicy Couture reworked with this giant bag.
Yeah. I saw a Vuitton show of his years ago when he was the creative director there. And again, that was like knee-high boots, really thick black eyeliner. He loves a bit of a 60s Barbie vibe. So you have to wonder, was he a little bit inspired by Barbie Mania this year?
Maybe.
And then brought his own sort of like fucked upness to it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is how does that convert to what is the Park Avenue girl wearing from that collection?
Oh, I think that there's a lot of young women who will absolutely embrace this. And one of my fun things to do when I'm watching shows is to break down the looks and find the pieces that I can interpret in my wardrobe. Not that I have thousands to spend at Marc Jacobs, but you know what I mean. So I think the voluminous coats, that go back, that tartan skirt, that's sort of like Prada-esque, that vibe there with the socks and the shoes. But I think that you could pull out those pieces. Look at that big granny brooch on there. You could definitely make that wearable over a pair of jeans. That's crazy. To me, that's for a show vibe and aesthetic, right? Rather than let's put 5 million of those into production.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you're the designer, but that bag, come on, there's going to be a waiting list for that.
There is going to be a huge waiting list for a huge satchel. Love it.
He always does excellent shoes. I fear my knees would say, what the actual hell are you talking about if I try to put on those heels anymore? But I always love a Marc Jacobs shoe. Those jackets particularly. What colour would you call that?
I would call that mustard.
Yeah, or like almost saffrony.
It's almost saffron, but it's a dirty saffron, so it becomes more mustard in my view. But I mean, that jacket on its own is a proper couture piece.
Beautiful.
The cutting in it is truly genius.
Incidentally, that is my hair every morning. I'm not kidding. I mean, who knew? Who knew what a style icon I was? You don't believe, I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to show you next week.
You're going to send us that look through. So there's my Juicy Couture retake. Look at those shoes.
That bag, I love that green. I love that I could get my dog in that. Oh my goodness. See, but that reminded me that lilac little short suit reminded me of Madonna in the one before. Yeah, these remind me of Madonna in her leotard phase.
I mean, there is something sort of 80s leotard about it, isn't there?
There was another couple of 80s vibes. There was Carolina Herrera show, had some really fantastic sort of like red and black, really slinky 80s vibes. But we love this.
Look at the cut on those sleeves.
I would 100% wear that. Am I, probably slightly braver than the average
you definitely
dresser?
Are. Yeah.
But I would 100% wear that with a pair of skinny black jeans or trousers I mean,
I think I think what we're saying here is his cutting and his sense of proportion are sublime.
And this was apparently his 40th anniversary show. I think I'm right about that. We'll have to check that. And he's still pushing the boundaries and still surprising us. I think he's amazing.
Yeah. Agree. So
pretty.
We're saying cheers to Marc Jacobs. Now, everyone is going bonkers about Luar.
Is that because it's bonkers?
Maybe because, but Beyonce, it's got the big bay sort of mark of approval here.
I'm not arguing with
the big bay.
Bay or the Bay Hive.
The Bay Hive, I love that.
Don't worry, I'm no shade. Do you know what that reminds me of? You know when you see those sitcoms when 3 kids have dressed up to look like a man and they're all on top of each other. That's what that looks like.
Now, what I thought was really interesting here too is we've seen no fur on the catwalks for many seasons.
Fur for sure?
This is real fur. Absolutely.
See, I can't.
For sure.
I can't do it. I don't know where you. Maybe we're going to fight about that. I don't know.
We're not going to fight about it at all. But it just feels to me not very modern.
I just think there's enough cruelty going on.
I agree, and what concerns me, and I might be right, might be wrong, but maybe the fur trade is getting behind this show and sponsoring it or whatever.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
It wouldn't be the first time. But let's move
are these boots?
Right along. I think those are pants. There's something extraordinary going on with the proportions here.
These people are ready for when their castle is under siege in medieval times.
They certainly are, aren't they?
Wow, look at that. I love those boots.
The boots are
I love them.
Incredible.
Yeah.
They're sort of, they look like Mongolian lamb over the knee.
These are the kind of looks, if I was still editing a fashion magazine, I would want those little leather shorts and that thing for a cover for a celebrity.
Absolutely.
I would just be like, let's get that.
With incredible.
Yeah, but not the fur. I never shot fur.
But I mean, that's a byproduct, Mongolian lamb. So I think we can say okay to that, can't we? The playing with silhouette
Who's going to wear that?
Tricky one.
Look at that.
Yeah. But having said that,
I love the textures. I love the juxtaposition of the animal print with it looks like leather. Yeah.
Having said that, I think when I was looking at this show earlier, I was thinking, Beyonce, and I was thinking, actually, performance clothes. That's what these are.
It's a bit sweaty for a performance of Beyonce's caliber, Amanda. I mean, I think she will be customizing it and getting rid of the sleeves and getting rid of some of that bulk.
Yes, but I think there's something going on.
Oh, I like this.
I was going to say, look at this sort of garland. It's like watches.
Yeah.
It's like a watch chain.
That's a watch for
who've got too many watches.
Or who really, really, really need to get somewhere on time. There's a real, I mean, I was joking before, but there's a real kind of like armory feel about a lot of this. It's really interesting, like clothes as armor.
I think, it's very uncertain times in the world, and fashion does often reflect what's going on in the world, doesn't it?
But it also feels like a bit like you can imagine season 3 of White Lotus, everybody getting off the plane and all of this sort of like OTT, I am a rich person sort of like vibes. Don't you think?
It's serious statement stuff, isn't it?
Kind of fabulous.
Yep. So,
in your opinion, as a designer, is it getting heat because it's good, or it's getting heat because Beyonce likes it?
I think it's a combination of the two. I understand why Beyonce likes it. It's real statement fashion dressing. There are some very, very cool pieces in here. But then we've got a big pair of fur gloves.
But it's like, that's
Do we need them?
It's very panto, that.
Yeah. Yep. And I actually take the fur gloves off, and the extended t-shirt look with these over the knee sort of warrior boots is very clever.
What self-respecting millennial or Gen Z person is going to want those on when they're constantly on their phone?
Good point. You're not going to be able to get on your phone.
I'm sorry to bring reality into the fashion world, everyone, but that's what I'm here for.
I mean, this is a bit mob.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that term mob wife.
No, nor do I.
find it very
I've said mob.
Distasteful.
Not mob wife.
Do you know what I mean, though?
Yes,
yeah.
I do. So I get the hype about Luar, particularly in the forum
Who
of
is
New
Lua?
York.
Is Lua a person? Is Lua the name of the label? This is my first time seeing this.
But in the forum of New York Fashion Week, this is high creativity. This is more what you would expect.
You're right,
in
actually.
London.
Yes, exactly. Making a mockery of what I said at the beginning of the piece. Yeah. Thanks for that, Lua.
Moving right on.
Okay.
Let's talk about Michael Kors.
Michael Kors, what a legend.
What a legend. I mean, his looks are so desirable. People, you just want them to walk straight off the runway into your wardrobe.
Yep.
And I think that's his real strength. He really understands his customer.
I think he understands his customer, and I think he is good at dressing the female form, rather than, there are some designers who I would say want the woman to conform to the constrictions of their aesthetic, whereas Michael doesn't do that.
He doesn't. And he also wants to dress her lifestyle.
Yes.
He gets her lifestyle. And even if she doesn't have the full-on jet set lifestyle, she aspires to it.
Yep.
And he aspires to give her that glossy, glamorous, sexy look.
That's right. It's polished, but it's got some sort of edgy bits to it, like that skirt you've just...
We both pulled that out.
Yeah.
The white tank, the black skirt,
with
and
the
the
buckle
double
detail.
belt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really, really loved it.
Loved that.
I would 100% want that in my wardrobe. I'm a real colour aficionado, as you know, and I noticed that all through New York there's a lot of this sort of mushroomy pink coming out. This is what I'm talking about when I say it seemed like there was some definite nods to romanticism and that beautiful blush pink that he does a lot of.
It's interesting. As I was reviewing the shows, there's been so much talk about End of Black, and it just reminded me how hard it is to see the detail in black looks visually on a screen.
Yeah, you need to see them in person.
You need to see them in person, but I understand why black has gone out of fashion, because in terms of buying it on screen and being attracted to it, you can't see the detail.
That's
so
very
much
true.
So much easier. Look at that.
You must
that ivory.
You
look.
must have a lot of clients who that's their safety zone. They
Absolutely.
just want black.
Absolutely. But I can understand why so much colour has come through, because it's so much easier to...
That pink is exquisite.
It's more you than me.
Yeah, I love it.
It's quite dusty.
Yeah.
I think the oversized sequin hoodie as a mini dress, really clever. I'm loving the cut on these suits.
Me too.
And this to me is just perfection. The charcoal grey satin slip dress with the charcoal grey coat over the top.
So that I loved.
The
That
leopard coat.
Oh my
I think we're
goodness.
seeing a lot of this leopard coming through, which I'm loving.
And it's a really bold one. And is that Amber? She was always one of my favorites. Look 28. I just love the cut on that jacket. I love the oversizedness. I love how long it is.
Cinching it in with the belt.
I just think it's gorgeous.
Yep. Love that. I think brilliant accessorizing too. Either micro bags or these real jumbo bags. I still love that.
Do you think bags are still the make or break of a collection? I mean, that's where you get your bread and butter, isn't it?
It's where you get huge margin.
Yeah.
To me, I'm just feeling like being worn by your bag and having your bag as a signifier just feels a bit dated.
And I think that certainly when I was still going to the shows, all the really cool women were the ones who were able... If you're not carrying a bag, it means you've got to leave your bag in the car. So then you're a moneyed up so-and-so. And that's why that's got that status about it.
And hence the micro bags do too, don't they? You know, you can't even fit your phone in them. But
that black gown is gorgeous.
Absolutely. And I love this whole vibe of a coat over dresses. And I know Celine Dion got sort of slightly criticised for keeping her coat on the other day at the Grammys, but I actually thought she looked incredibly
She's also
chic.
not very well, so let a bitch live. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I just say, one of my favourite things, when you go to shows, so many designers pop their head out so shyly and nervously and self-consciously. And then there's Michael Kors, who runs down the runway, giving it. And I love that. I love that about him. He is Mr. Showman.
And do you know what? With a multi-billion-dollar business, good on him. I just think he absolutely deserves to do that.
Yeah.
So double tick for Michael. Congratulations.
Still got it, Michael.
Still really got it.
Yeah.
Really got it.
I want it.
Should we go to Tory Burch?
Yes.
Because this one really surprised me. This is Tory leaving her comfort zone, leaving the little ballet slippers that we knew her for, leaving that preppy Tory.
Yeah.
And really getting quite experimental. How did you feel about it?
It's interesting. I'm a big fan of Tory Burch, and I have loved the preppy vibe. I think that actually it's been a while since she's done the traditional Tory ballet flats and things. I think she's been pretty experimental, particularly with fabrics and things like that for some time.
Yep.
So I always find things in there that have become real hero pieces in my wardrobe. And when I say, oh, it's from Tory Burch, people are really surprised.
Yes.
And that's why I feel like, for me, she's a bit of a secret weapon, because so many people have decided that she's Mrs. Ballet Flats in the Hamptons. And I go in there and find things that I really love.
But isn't that true? When a designer tries to evolve, people, the press, the audience loves to pigeonhole you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But look at this. I mean, I think this aqua skirt is, to me, that is quite Tory, because she's always been really bold with colour. She's always been bold with colour combinations, which is probably another reason I gravitate to her. But this kind of like scuba-ish hoodie thing is probably a little bit of a departure for her.
And yet, that's how it's styled. Yeah. Styled, hood down, under a jacket. It's very beautiful and believable. Customer. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I did love, though, is I love that there was a lot more structure and a lot more, probably more challenging shapes to wear.
Yep.
Particularly with some of the beaded evening wear. If you have a look at those, black dress, I think.
Before we even go on to that, can I just point out that beautiful trapper jacket?
And it's actually, it's got the same sort of cut about it as I like about that grey Michael Kors.
Yeah.
But I actually really love, that's not my favourite. I don't like, she's done better prints than that pinstripe suit. But that, I think, is fantastic. And I've seen things like that in Tory before.
Yes.
It's wild. And not everyone is going to want to get away with that. But then you've got your sleek twin sister next to you if that's your safer ground.
Exactly.
And both of those things will live in your wardrobe for a million years.
Yep. Exactly. And that sort of experimenting with these beautiful fabrics.
Yep.
And silhouettes, I think.
That is very courageous for Tory. This really sort of like almost second skin poured on Catwoman-y kind of evening dress is incredible. I wouldn't be brave enough to wear that.
And yet here with the prints, I feel we're getting more back into her comfort zone.
But they're my least favourite things in this whole show.
Interestingly, mine too. And I think this finale piece with this amazing sort of fringed, it looks like a sort of polyester fringing, which sounds horrible, but it's brilliant, and you can imagine that moving exquisitely.
And just the thing about those kind of coats is that you just don't want to take them off. And I would want to wear that and sit in the restaurant in it all night rather than have it in the coat room.
Absolutely, absolutely. So well done, Tory. We're thinking great job, out of your comfort zone, but lots of really cool, beautiful pieces. I have read that she's recruited designers from the row, and you can really see it in there.
Particularly in I would say look 3 particularly. That look 1 dress is incredible.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So I think some very interesting, and I love that.
It's beautiful. Do you think, is that rabbit, do you think?
No, it's calf skin.
Calf skin, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a byproduct with the most perfect pleated taupe pant. I think there's still enough there so that the traditional Tory customer is not going to panic. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. Agree.
Fan for life, Tory.
No. There's a collection here that I want you to have a look at, and that's Form.
For form.
For Form.
Okay.
I thought this was...
I was going to try and pretend I'd seen it, but I haven't.
I think it's exquisite. And it's not a brand that that's really been on my radar. But when you look at this collection as a whole, you've got elements of sort of Madame Grey draping there. You've got these beautiful sort of emeralds and the crisp white shirts, but sort of oversized tunics. The sort of caftan
I love look 5
vibe.
That's incredible.
Is absolutely beautiful, and I love the styling, the way that in look 6 she's carrying that coat folded up over her arm. It was so chic. But then look 8, you see that exquisite cutting. Look at the sleeves on that ivory
stunning.
coat.
Look 11, that's so Great Gatsby.
To me, that is sublime. I just love the fact that effectively you've got the silhouette of a sweatshirt and a pull-on pant, but it's been reimagined in these beautiful cloths.
It's so like 1930s.
Perfection.
Like Brideshead Revisited, that kind of a thing. Oh, look at that red.
I loved this red. Look at the engineering. Yes, the cap's beautiful. It's almost like a swim cap. But look at the knitted engineering in that. I mean, it is a tank dress, but it's just sublimely perfect.
Show me the shoes. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. They remind me of those Lanvin ballet slippers from many moons ago, but they're just that sort of timeless. And how chic is that? Look 21. So
this is the forever wardrobe, isn't it?
It really is. To me, when I looked at this, I thought, do you know, if Zoran was around now, this is what he would be doing.
Yeah.
So I just think very understated, very quiet luxury.
And I love that, like that, just that one big chic earring.
Yeah. Just very cool. But you know that you're going to be wearing those pieces forever.
And you want to be that girl. When she walks in the room, you'll be like, who's that?
Yeah. I used to have a phrase for it, enviable ease.
Yeah.
And I think it's that when you see someone walk in, looking so effortless. And you just
because
think,
my aesthetic's going more and more as I get older to basically full on circus clown. So this is like, maybe I should take a bit out of this.
No, it's not. Come on.
But that's what I want. It's not a bad thing.
Close your husband.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Kate.
Oh, see, Kate, I used to be able to afford Kate, and then they got all chic and expensive, and they're fabulous. But
I mean, when I look at this, I think of sort of 80s Montana. That just the leather looks absolutely exquisite. And just the cutting. We're seeing a lot of this sort of beautiful cocooning, rounded shoulder into the sleeve.
And it's all about an intimidating big shoulder is back.
It is, and quite a lot of this paper bag skirts, paper bag pants. Very, very interesting for me because that is a completely pitch black runway, and the lighting is literally picking up. It sort of almost reminds me of a pared down Tom Ford in his day.
It really reminds me of Tom Ford Gucci, the way he used to dramatize that runway. Someone was getting fired if this lighting wasn't right. I bet somebody had a very sleepless night the night before this.
Yeah.
But,
and I think it's hard in this format to see some of the detail, but it's very dramatic and very beautiful. I mean, how perfect is that leather Crombie?
That's
perfection.
That's giving me Prince, Purple Rain. It really is, because it's so black, it's almost indigo.
Yeah. Look 13. I just absolutely love this just completely oversized bomber.
It's so 80s, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's 80s on steroids. You know, the bomber goes down to the knee.
Yeah.
With this beautiful collar, and that looks like a shearling collar on it. And then this gazar skirt coming out. And look at these shoes. How chic and beautiful are they? I'm not sure I'd be wearing them all evening. But again, I
love that drawstring waist.
Yeah, the drawstring waists I think are incredibly
Oh my gosh, I love that voluminous coat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, Really, the whole way through the New York shows, I'm seeing sort of 80s, but I'm really seeing the whole 90s slip dress with the tailoring over it.
Beautiful.
And it's just something, it's something I just always loved.
See, we're looking at this and it's Valentine's week and I'm thinking I'm married for love like a dickhead. When if I'd have married for money, I could have had some of these.
You could have had that camel coat. How exquisite is that? And have you noticed all of these sort of almost bathrobe-like coats? They're to the floor.
I have noticed them, Amanda Wakeley.
And they're not...
they're going to haunt my dreams.
They're not just terry cloth. They are camel cashmere. They're exquisite. I love so we've got that volume in the sleeve and then that super crop in that jacket.
That might be a bit too far for me.
But isn't it exquisite in a show
sense?
It's
incredible, but I mean, I would get some looks on the 75 in that, but yeah.
You probably would.
Yeah.
And not the looks that you want. A lot of this crinkle coming through too.
Yeah. I'm not a massive fan.
I am not a massive fan. I know Maria Grazia Chiuri used it a lot at Dior, but you know, then you see it on the red carpet and you go, it's slightly wrong. It's just not, it's not working for me.
I don't know. I just feel like this might be the most pedestrian thing one can say about fashion, but I just feel like I've paid a lot of money for it. I don't want it to look like I've slept in it. So I just don't like it. And that's each to their own. But yeah.
I have to say, I agree. Look at the cutting on that, look 43. Isn't that absolutely sublime?
Fantastic. I wonder what the back looks like.
I can't tell you.
No, this is why, come on everyone, evolve. We need to see the back. But,
we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
But we've got this exquisite tunic into the, you know, with the cold shoulder, but just one shoulder, and the gloves. I just think, and the beautiful heavy satin pants. It's very sophisticated.
She looks like a world-class secret agent.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Love her.
I want to be her.
In another life. So let's talk about Tommy.
Yeah. I once met Tommy Hilfiger at the pudding station of a wedding.
The pudding station?
Yeah. There was a pudding station.
Was he big on puddings?
I was. I met everyone at the pudding station.
At the pudding station. Okay. It's looking very preppy America.
Is it?
Don't you think?
It is, but it's a bit, I think it's a bit too on the slouchy side for me. It
feels quite try hard preppy America to me.
Obviously, everyone's got the way oversized jacket memo. That's on brand here. That's on trend here. I just think that look 36, that sort of thing, the A-line skirt, the jacket, the big collar, that looks, you know, nice on a very young model. In the real world, that just looks like you've got stuck in the 80s. I don't know. Am I wrong?
It looks like your school teacher, I think. On that, you know, on anyone who's not 18 and pin
that's
thin.
what I think. Yeah.
I'm finding the palette a bit dull.
I was just about to say, there's a lot of brown.
It's a lot of brown. It's not camel. It's just sort of bad brown to me, and bad, unflattering brown. And I don't care what your skin color is. It's unflattering.
I bet you'll cut this out, but I used to, at the magazine, rail against the poo palette, that I used to call it.
This is the poo palette, isn't it?
Yeah, please don't give me the poo palette on the page. Just don't.
Yeah.
That's a rule for life. I don't mind that plaid. That's nice.
Yeah, that's chic.
Yeah.
Last look.
Yeah.
And then Tommy in his varsity jacket. I know he's got a huge business. I know he does incredibly well.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm seeing anything new here.
But you know, that's what I was about to say. We've seen a lot of really quite pushing the envelope stuff in this season at New York, haven't we? This just feels like, okay.
Yeah. Let's just blow the silhouette up.
Yeah.
But it's same old for me.
We just look, you know, it's tough love. No, that was Inspector Gadget, look 14. No.
I think that's Friday night fashion over and out.
Friday night fashion.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.